This is the thing. When you're in a contract negotiation, and based on what the Giants had said in the past, I think the Giants have to be very careful. They've said before, we want Odell here. Now, since they've gotten a new general manager and a new head coach, and since this latest thing, the offseason, as far as the video with him being in Europe, I mean, what else can the Giants continue to say? Because what if they can't come to an agreement on money? Okay. What if Odell thinks he wants to be paid like a quarterback? You know, we know what Le'Veon Bell, regardless of what we think, he thinks he should make the kind of money wide receivers should make. Yeah. Odell's probably going to think he should make the kind of money that quarterbacks are going to make, with Antonio Brown being the highest paid, around $18 million. So if you can't come to a deal, then you might have to trade him. And when you look at the Giants, where they are, coming off of winning 3 games only, I think to their fan base it's very, very important that they are consistent in what they're saying, but realizing that there's not anything out there that they wouldn't look at in trying to improve the team. So I'm with the Giants. Yes, he's not up for – we're not trying to trade him.
But if someone gave you 2 first-round picks, you would consider it?
If he wants $22 million a year, $23 million a year, someone else can have him too for that. Because I'm not going to be able to afford him long-term at that kind of number. So the Giants need to keep their options open. Yes, they want Odell. You know, I mean, who wouldn't want him when he's at his best? The only thing that's in question here is Odell and how mature is he going to be.
So when I hear that the Giants want 2 first-rounders for Odell, first thing I thought about was – Cece, I know you recently sold a house. I'm in the process of selling a house. About a year before, I wanted to move out of my house in Houston. A year before, I knew I was moving, but I didn't want to move at that point in time. Put the house on the market for about $100,000 more than I ever thought I could get for it. Basically saying, I don't want to move. I'm not trying to move right now. But if someone will pay me this, then I'll make it work. When you let the world know it's going to take multiple first-round picks for a player, to me what you're saying is it is a warning shot to the player. It is letting Odell know, hey, do you like being a Giant? Do you enjoy it in New York City? Do you enjoy the stability of the organization? Because you have put that stability on shaky ground through your own decisions. However, they're not having a fire sale, quite the opposite of it. Do you know how 2 first-round picks, what that reminds me of, is the franchise tag. When guys are franchise tagged, we always look at it as, oh, well, they are with that team definitely. But if you have the franchise tag placed on you, if it's the non-exclusive franchise tag, any team can come and take you. What's the price? 2 first-round picks and a new contract. And we never see players get franchise tagged and another team come out, or almost never.
Because it's too steep.
Because it's too steep. Like, it's just, and the teams that might consider it, I know Odell might not be a prototypical New England Patriot, but just take the Patriots as a for example. A team that might say, well, you know what, we have the 31st pick, and next year we'd have maybe the 32nd pick. It might be worth 2 first-rounders. That's not the type of deal the Giants are talking about.
Well, what'd they trade for Brandon Cooks?
1 first-rounder.
Okay.
Exactly right.
I mean, how much better is Odell than him?
I think he's significantly better than him. And I think the Pats are a team. I think a team at the tail end of the first round would say, oh, 2 first-rounders, maybe it's worth it for us. But that's not what the Giants are talking about. When the Giants are saying, in my eyes, when they're saying 2 first-rounders, talking about a team like, I don't know, San Francisco. Hey, give us the 9th this year and your first-rounder next year.
Yes.
A pick that we know is in the top 10 right now and potentially in the top 15 the following year. To me, this is more about the Giants not wanting to trade Odell, but letting the world know, hey, a team like, I don't know, the Los Angeles Rams, you sure seem to be in win now, get eyeballs, get attention on you. You don't seem to be worried about locker room stuff. You want to absolutely bowl us over with an offer. We'll listen to it, but I don't think they expect anyone to make the 2 first-round picks.
Which, as we talked about this morning, could be win-win for both teams. Financially, could be sound for the Giants. Fans thinking, why would you ever get rid of a talent like Odell Beckham? You think, well, I can get 2 guys back, pay them rookie contracts, especially in the first round, talented guys, and then you don't have to give Odell Beckham Jr. that kind of money. But Nick said something interesting, which was from Odell's perspective, a warning shot to the player. Do you think Odell has taken it as such? Like, do you think that he has heard this and said, hey, you know what? Like, I know I've been warned before, but now they're actually thinking of moving me. I mean, do you think this is something that sort of sinks into him?
This is going to be interesting to see how mature he is, because the thing yesterday we brought up about the comparisons to Randy Moss, because at this point in Randy's career, maybe a little bit, maybe in the next year, year 5 or year 6, Randy became disgruntled with Minnesota. Minnesota became disgruntled with him. They threatened to trade him, and then he was like, I don't care, trade me. And they traded him. And I know Randy Moss regrets that, even as he went back to the Vikings later in his career, and even hearing him speak when he went into the Hall of Fame. I mean, he loved his experiences, but if he could change the story, he would have stayed there. I think Odell, you have to be mature about it, realizing all this is brought on not because of the Giants. This is brought on because of yourself. So don't be foolish. Realizing, him and I have talked about this, what value it is to someone like him playing with the Giants. Not only living in the city of New York, but who the New York Giants are in the football community, the amount of respect that people have for them. They are one of the pillar franchises that we have in the National Football League. So I think he understands that, but sometimes you can get a little petty. You know, and I don't want him to get that in this situation, because this will blow over. If he handles his business, the Giants would love to sign him to a contract extension and have him spend his whole career in New York City.
And while I understand the cost of living is exorbitant in New York City, I would argue $18 to $20 million a year for Odell Beckham Jr. in New York City is worth more than $22 million a year for Odell Beckham in many other cities, because of the spotlight in which he's under, and because of, I don't think Odell Beckham gets the endorsement deal he got with Nike, even if he's the same player, if he's been playing for the Tennessee Titans all these years.
No.
I think a lot of it has to do with the marquee franchise, the marquee city. I want to run one thing by you as far as potential Giants trade. That does not involve Odell Beckham Jr., because I've advocated that with the second pick, they take a quarterback. But if they decide they're going to keep Odell, and if they decide with this new regime we're going to have a bounce-back season, I do think there is an avenue for them to get 2 first-round picks. I think we know Buffalo wants a quarterback. We know Buffalo wants to move into the top 5. If you're the Giants and you think with Odell, with Eli, with a healthier team as a whole, you can compete this year, they should consider calling Buffalo, saying 12-21 for 2. You can get your edge rusher in Marcus Davenport. Not Bradley Chubb, but the second best one. You might be able to get the second best running back in Darius Geis from LSU. Say, we're going to replace JPP with this guy. We're going to get our running back in the first round. We're going to go for it this year to try to build off the 2016 season. Like, this is a big turning point moment for them, or fork in the road moment. Like, do you want to trade your best player? Do you want to go into what I would consider a full rebuild? Or do you want to try to retool for this upcoming season?
Yeah, some of the value in this year's draft happens to be the depth. So in getting multiple picks, it makes sense. But when you are picking number 2, you want to get a Hall of Famer. You want to get a generational player. I wouldn't take the chance of moving back, the chance of getting 2 players based on where the Giants are. And I don't think that they're going to necessarily be able to get that offensive lineman that they would want that would be worth that value. So being at number 2, it's kind of the irony to it. The Jets, they wanted to move up. They called Cleveland about moving to the number 1 spot. The Jets are at number 3. They didn't call the Giants at number 2. So, you know, there will be some movement, I think, in the first round, but I think people will overreach for the quarterbacks, and there will be a run on quarterbacks early.
Do you think they knew the Giants weren't going to deal it too?
I don't know why. The Jets kind of do things a little bit different.
Man, the Jets were sitting at 6, CC. They trade to 3. They're sitting at 6. They trade to 3, and then their coach says, we traded 3 because we think there's 6 or 7 players we really like.
Well,
there's 6 or 7 players. You were in the perfect spot imaginable.
Well, they also offered Sue basically a deal, and they said, no, we changed our mind, we changed our mind. They've got some issues. They're dealing with it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.